All right, guys. Welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. I am your host, David Holder, and I'm joined today by Warren and Easton Holder, who are a pain in my ass, and I'm going to apologize right now because they're going to say something that's going to either piss you off or piss me off. So we just get that out of the way right now. So I apologize. Go. No, I'm kidding. All right, and then so we want to make sure you guys know, we've said it over and over again. You guys have been absolutely incredible with it, that we have raised scents, we have raised knocks, we have canine stuff. All of it is starting to move off of, which the canine stuff was slow because we weren't pushing it yet really. This is not a sales pitch at all. If you guys are wanting scents, you need to make sure, even if you think you don't want to get them or you want to use them in a month from now, you need to get the scents now because we can only make a certain amount and then we run out. We've started running out of stuff now. So just
as you can see, there's already Buck Junkie paste is out of stock for the season. Scrape Queen paste is out of stock for the season. There's some. I mean, we're getting to the point. Like we've been selling a lot. So.
Yep. So anyhow, but before I turn it over, so Warren can do.
The other thing I would add to that too is we have a low stock counter on there now for you guys, and just so you know, it is not. It's not a marketing tool. Like. It's legit. That way, you know, if you see it and it says only 10 left, there's
only 10
left. So, and this will probably be on scents. Knox will be able to get more, not real soon, but be able to get more. But scents is going to be your
for the season.
But I don't really think that everybody on here matters because they all got their stuff. They're all part of the RH gang.
Yeah, but there's a dude out there right now going, I'm just going to wait until I don't need it yet. I just wait until, or he's got his buddy using it and his buddy's telling him you should get some. And he's like, well, I want to wait and see if you like it, if it works. So I'm talking to you. You know who you are.
RHH.
All right. But before I turn it over so Warren can shout out to those who have commented and things like that, we have talked about this previously, but we brought it in here. We had a buddy of ours. You guys have heard Shane. Shane Edwards comes on the podcast occasionally. When we're trying to talk Southern, we invite Shane. And so, but Shane has a friend of his that is an avid listener of the podcast, and Foster is his name. And Foster went out above and beyond because he's just a cool dude and had something extremely cool made for us. And he sent this to us. And this is a barrel lid that
I thought that was from Shane.
You guys were going to play that joke on Foster. I'm not doing it because he texts me. I'm not playing that game.
I've never got to meet Foster.
Big
he's
thanks,
a good
Foster.
Dude. When it comes to shooting long-distance stuff, he's the man.
All right. I like you too, Foster.
So I was asking Shane some questions on my muzzleloader last year, and he was with Foster. And then Foster's like, well, have you done this, 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 and this? And I was like you're already over my head. Let me send you my gun. And
But anyhow, big shout out to Foster for sending this. We sure appreciate it. We're going to put this, I think we've talked about possibly putting it up, didn't we? That we may hang this in between. Just a note, we are starting to get pictures, and some of you are killing stuff right now or hunting. Send the pictures of new stuff. JS Gagno.
You know who that is?
What?
Jeff,
yeah.
You know, we can refer to him as his normal name because we know who he is.
Okay, but I guess I'm thinking of his stuff. But he just sent a new picture of a really good deer. So we need to add to our list or add to our board.
That board doesn't get added to.
And then, hold on, I got to apologize. One more thing. If I sound nasally, I got a little bit of a runny nose going on. Yes, it's kind of hangover from...
Oh, we'll get to that.
No, I'm just going to flat out say we got our butts handed to us. And unfortunately, it's by this peckerhead.
Yeah, go Bronco.
We flew our butts all the way to Tampa to watch Baker Mayfield. If you're listening, I'm calling you out. You piece of meat with eyes.
He choked.
He did not choke.
They all did.
They just didn't show up. But I will hats off to Baker because he did an interview and he said, we just didn't show up. We just didn't even try. It was like we never.
No, that was just an excuse.
It was not an excuse.
Godwin, though, for having the only touchdown on my fantasy team, I'm like, thank God.
But I'm destined to go to another game because I've yet to see the Bucs show up when I've gone. I've been to 2 games.
In 2028, we can go back.
Oh, no, I'm going before that.
It'll be in the Broncos Stadium this time, and we can watch them get their butts whipped there, too.
I just saw yesterday.
Gonna need season tickets.
No, I just saw yesterday they have a cruise they go on, and Mike Allstott's going on it. And you can go on the cruise, $699.
That's it?
Buccaneers cruise?
Buccaneer, like, so they call it. Like, remember the KREWS? It says go on the Buck cruise with the crew. And then it tells you who all's already signed up to go, which Bucks are going to be there. And they said special guest Mike Allstott, and Derek Brooks is going to make an appearance. He won't be there the whole time.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
What's he going to do? Just swim out there? And
He didn't say.
Oh, curious.
It was funny because D-Bill Gaming 7250, he said, here after the Broncos game, crying face, crying face, crying face emoji.
Jerk.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to do Apple people first. Relatable and from small town USA. Shout out to Akexa778. They said, enjoy listening and supporting the raised hunting family and community. Content is fun and real. I like that they all are relatable and are from a small town USA. Definitely knowledgeable and confident hunters who are worth a listen. We appreciate you.
Yes,
Thank you for the support. Amazing pod. Easton Ellis, 21. This podcast cracks me up. Enjoy listening and learning the ways around the woods. I just ordered some Scrape Addict. Hopefully I can get some more
ordered stuff too.
Intel on the mature bucks we have in the area. I hunt the southwestern part of the state and have had big bucks, but just can't seem to be one step ahead of these mature animals.
I feel the pain. It must be an Easton thing.
Maybe you ought to turn around.
You're cursed.
Maybe he is one step ahead of him. He needs to slow down.
He said we are in the driftless area where it's hills and valleys. I feel like the hunting is different than more flat ground. Is there any tips or tricks with hunting ground that's full of hills and valleys? P.S. David's record with deer hearing his fart is amazing. My goal is to beat that this season.
If you beat that, I'm going to be pissed because I've been working at that for 3 years now. So I'm up to like 40 yards. And I feel like that's embarrassing compared to him.
We should find that clip. We could find it. I know we could.
I know exactly where it was.
I know what stand it was. So and I believe that because I just don't know if you had the camera on when I farted.
I think I did. I'd have to check, but I don't know if they maybe are in Iowa as well, or they forgot to include their state because they just said I hunt the southwestern part of the state and have had big bucks.
They're in Iowa.
Seem to be one step ahead.
And that part of Iowa is what he's talking about. It's kind of rolling hills.
Okay, let me shout out our YouTubers real quick. Jeremy Rupsick, I agree, Easton. I like the bow in a place where you can grab it from your bow hook with ease and the least amount of movement as possible. My 3 items besides the essentials that would include cell phone with Onyx and other apps would be rangefinder, wind indicator, that's a good one, and buck calls. I agree with Warren on the grunt call, but I also agree with David. Antlers work really well at times. Love David's wacky fact about magpies.
We know Jeremy's never going to be able to pick one of 3. He's never going to be able to pick his 3 needed items.
Yeah,
he's like, I like everybody's.
7. He's like, well, cell phone, Onyx, rangefinder, grunt call, rattling antlers.
He gives freaking Nick crap, and Jeremy can't even count. I got you, Nick. I backed you up this time.
I have a wacky fact now that he said that because I didn't get to do it last week.
I
brought my phone.
Congratulations.
William Ayers, SP4TT. This is another great episode. James Mass 9060 says, great podcast. I got it done today. Not a buck, but shot my first doe of the season. I've been using everything I've learned from your podcast to help me. It was a great experience. Shot was perfect. Only ran 70 yards and flopped over. Thank you, David, Easton, and Warren. Bought your race sense, so hopefully I can fill my buck tag over the rub tree. I have a couple on my trail camera. I just need them to show up in the daytime. Keep up the videos. I hope you all kill some giants this year. Same to you, James. That's awesome. Good job, buddy. Eric Robards. I'm bringing my Ray Sense binos and a good little Debbie. Enjoyed this one, boys. 1 week away.
Good little Debbie. Wait, is Eric the one that had me carrying Mellow Yellow and a little Debbie or something in my pack last year?
I don't know. He's the one that emailed to have me pronounce his name correctly.
Well, I know that. I forgot who that was last year.
Jake DeLee. He said, well, LOL, we had the baby the night prior, and my wife was holding him when you called. She was a good sport about
it. Hey, he said the doctor was on the way in. So
Brian Sheffield, 7037, and Trevor, 3431. He says, quick debate. Do you think cell cams or mapping like Onyx results in bigger deer being taken? Cell cams all day, every day.
Is he comparing which one?
Yeah, I don't know if he's asking saying, which one helps more. Is that what he's
saying? Quick debate. Do you think that cell cams, or which one do you think helps people kill more big deer? Cell cams or mapping, like Onyx maps?
Cell cams.
Cell cams.
That's my
SoCam's giving you
live time
live time.
information. Yep. So, and then Spotify, we love you guys. You know I can't shout you out because it doesn't tell me your names, but we love you, and you keep rocking. So, with that, we should probably get on with it.
All right, so
Yeah,
as
you
Dad
bet.
said, we are starting. This is my favorite time of podcast year because I get to practice my not-so-great reading skills out loud, and you guys send us some pretty freaking cool stories. So it is not even opening day for us here in Iowa yet, and we already have our first submission of a success. You can also send your success photos, whether it is you used the scents, you've used the knocks, you haven't used anything from raised hunting, you've listened to the podcast, obviously, because you are hearing this message. Send us your success stories. We're looking for the current ones and up to date for this year. And today's is one of our gentlemen that we're pretty good friends with, actually, and his name is Jeff. I will try to read fast because it's a page and a half.
Do you need me to read it?
No, this is that you all get your limelight. I get my limelight.
Okay.
All right. Old dog, new trick. What can I say? I've been hunting for 40 plus years now, and I've taken some nice deer, but I would have to say that the most of them, till the past 2 years, were not necessarily lucky, but more along the lines of knowing a good deer was in the area and just hoping you crossed paths with it, and when you did not have any clue or why. So it was luck. I'm just kidding, Jeff. Good job. After drawing my second Iowa tag for the 2023 season and dedicating what turned out to be a 19-day hunt at my in-laws' farm, I have a new lease, pun intended, on my deer hunting. Anybody else seeing the pun here?
New lease. Like a new understanding on it.
Oh, I didn't know that word. Vocabulary needs to be a new too. You see, I had two choices down the farm when I'd come in from hunting: sit and watch the news with my father-in-law and get mad at the world. This is a total side note, Jeff. Get to the point. Here we go. And of course, long story short, I hammered out a number of long drawn-out emails to the guys thanking them for what they did, even providing me a perspective of my own, which lo and behold, they shared. But what I did with that information from these podcasts was change my hunting forever. I played chess with these Iowa whitetails for 19 days, implementing some very sound and basic strategies that the holders have learned and shared over their years in Iowa. And it paid off with a decent Iowa buck on November 12th, 2023. But what I didn't get to implement was a rub tree and or the raised scents. Fast forward, however, to my own land in Wisconsin. I've been keeping an eye on a buck that I've had on my property for a couple years now. Pictures going back to 2021. We have some of these for you, Nick. While using all the information and education I was gaining from Iowa, and more importantly, the holders, I learned my buck's early season habits, his October habits, and the fact that when the rut hits, he shifted to the northwest of my property, and that after the rut, he shifted back onto my property from Thanksgiving to January. Listen to the podcast on October and November deer. It's extremely educational. Those are two ones you guys could go back and listen to. We'll probably be doing more on, but... So this year I made a commitment to utilize last year's information as I watched this particular buck return this summer, but this year I had something for him. I utilized a rub tree, a white pine if you want to be specific. My first attempt with a rub tree and buck junkie was interesting as a bear snapped the tree in half the first night it was out. So I put in an even bigger tree in and oiled it up with more buck junkie. Side note, I do put the trees out once I saw they had shedded their velvet. So that's time frame wise. Our season opened on September 14th, and I noticed that due to the warm weather, the Big 9 and his running buddy, a 3-year-old 10, didn't get real aggressive with the rub tree. But every time they hit the plot, their first stop was to come over to the tree and at a minimum would smell it every single time. So with the first cold snap and a so-so wind, I sat the plot on September 22nd, but because of the wind direction, paying attention closely to my thermals, another podcast worth listening to, I had to set up and simply watch from 80 yards out. But when they hit the plot, they headed once again to the rub tree first, then to eat. September 23rd, a Monday. An east-southeast wind allowed me to put my climber within 40 yards of the tree, staying mobile and keep them guessing. Another good podcast. Holy cow. Good job, Jeff. With does piling into the food plot and about 10 minutes left, the Big 9 with the 10 right behind him popped out of the timber, stared at the rub tree and walked right to it as he put his nose on to check the scent out. Quartering away at 38 yards, I got and took my shot. The most bizarre part of this story is the arrow hit right where it should, a lung in the heart, and somehow I heard the loud crack of a bat, and he dropped and died right there within feet of the rub tree. Holy cow, he's got photos of that too I didn't look at yet. He was 260-plus pounds live weight and 202 pounds field dressed. Score unknown at this point, and a lot of mass with about 19-inch spread. Anyway, I say all this to emphasize that Buck Junkie is in fact the real deal, and the rub tree in combination with it will always be a part of my arsenal. More importantly, not only utilizing those tools, but the knowledge and information gained from David, Warren, and Easton has given my hunting a new life, and I almost feel like I know what I'm doing versus simply watching trail cameras and hoping. So yeah, this old dog can learn new tricks. Now for the rest of the season, I will be experimenting with all of their scents, and while I can't shoot any more bucks, still gun season, the searching, scouting, and experimenting will be just as fun.
That's cool.
That's really
You
cool.
the man. I was shocked to see that.
I want to
so
see that
fast.
photo next to the rub tree.
Me too.
That's awesome.
I looked at it. I mean, it's the deer's laying dead with the arrow stuck in him right there, but I couldn't see the rub tree right there. But I mean,
That's perfect.
yeah. I mean, I don't know what he clipped that caused the deer to just die right there.
Yeah.
Describing from where he says he hit him and where the arrow is, doesn't look like he could have clipped the spine or anything.
Right.
But who cares? Okay. I'll take lucky over good any day.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome. I mean.
Maybe hit that offside shoulder and it just stunned him or something.
Yeah.
And
That's kind of wild.
folded him up, but he'd already threw the lungs in by that time. He just expired. I don't know.
I don't know either. It's above my pay grade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jeff's going to have a fun season now, getting to try other things and everything.
Yeah, it worked
Stress-free.
too quick.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
season's over.
Let's jump in.
All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about what we've got going on and hopefully relating that to what you guys have going on. For us, our season doesn't start for not even a week now. Next Tuesday is opening day, so we're 5 days away. So we're going to talk a little bit about our last-minute tactics, what we're doing, because I've been getting, I don't know if you guys have seen them, but like someone just asked me yesterday, they had a big debate going on. It sounded like a group of guys, and they were like, shouldn't be going, one thought was no more going into an area where they know that there's a big buck, and another one was like, I need to go in there and put my stand up. What do we do? And I was out putting a blind in yesterday, still put another rub tree in. So my answer was, do what you need to do. You're okay. Yep. You're good. I mean, I would not make the call to pass on the season now, saying I'm just going to live with whatever I've got set at this point. I will make adjustments, and we've done it before where we'll make adjustments during the season, and that's what I told him is like, I'll move a stand if we need to. If I feel like I'm on them but I'm not on them, make the adjustment.
Yeah, it doesn't do you any good if you got a deer if they're all coming out 60 yards.
Yep.
And you know where they're coming out differently. You might as well move it.
Yep.
Get her going, bud.
Okay. So where do we want to start? Like how we're going into the season?
Sure. I mean.
Okay. Well, I think let's start with when most of the time when we're going into a new season, it is strictly to kill does. Meaning that
beginning of the season.
Like the first 2 weeks, we're not really all that worried about like, okay, we're trying to kill this buck or anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, I would say that this year might be a little bit different. I think we should talk some on what are we looking at going into the season? What information are we taking? Like, how do we believe that some of the things that we've applied already are going to make a difference? Because I can speak some to what I've seen already that makes me feel comfortable and confident in some things going into October.
Things that make you feel comfortable and confident?
Yeah.
It's deer season coming up.
Well, it doesn't make me feel confident of killing one.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess I don't understand fully the question.
Well, I think is
what tactics? What are we doing?
There's a deer you're going to try to kill this year.
Yeah.
In the first 2 weeks. And I'm trying to think of if there's ever been a time
where we've had that.
Where, like, the first 2 weeks, we were like, we got to try to kill this buck. And the other one that you'd want to try to kill if you were going to try and kill him is Gypsy. Because you only have maybe 10 days.
His is just on a freaking time frame. Like, you're on a ticking time bomb there that he's going to leave. You know he's going to leave. But you're asking tactic-wise what we're going to...
Well, here, I'll just start.
Okay.
So I talked about, Dad and I went and we didn't hang it. We dug it, put in a rub tree for a deer that, a big deer that is 5 or 6 years old, 5 I think, and I really like it because it has great access to it, and the benefit of this is it's very close to his core area. Not typically where I would be going to try to kill a big buck because it's not in the timber. That's where I like trying to kill most of my deer. This is actually in a transition on a place we call Spartan Hill because these deer, for whatever reason, they come up on this hill and it's the edge of the timber and it's an open hill that goes down to food. And for whatever reason, I mean, and they all do it every single time. They hit the edge of that and then they sprint like in groups of 6 and 7. And so it just looks like Spartans sprinting down the hill. So we put this rub tree on there because we need to be able to pull him. The goal is that we're going to, from where they usually cross, we need to be able to pull him about 100 yards so that he would be within shooting distance of somewhere we can put a stand. And the access to it is incredible. So basically the idea is that you're going to be able to get to that stand. As long as the wind is right, you can hunt that stand over and over and over and over, which all the experts tell you, don't do that. You're going to burn them out. If the wind's right and no deer are smelling me, I'm not going to burn them out if I'm not busting them. So that's the whole goal, is that you're going to be able to sit it over and over and over and over and over again. Now, we put that rub tree there specifically for him. And I had not had any pictures of him until just the other day, and have a picture of him hitting that rub tree at like 5:50 a.m. That is only one photo, still at night, but I'm super confident about it.
He knows where it is now.
He knows where it is, and we just have to be sitting in that tree enough that at the time when the weather's right in October and he's up a little bit early, he wants to hit it. And the fact that he was there at 5:50 a.m. is not a ton of telling information, but I like that it wasn't like 1 a.m. Because I feel as though he's probably in pretty close vicinity there. So I guess is what I'm saying is our initial plans of this deer that we went and put a rub tree for and everything, and now he's hit it. Now he knows it's there. Now other bucks are hitting it, that I'm liking the direction that it's going. However, I'm not going to be in a stupid rush to try to kill him. I think that we just wait till we're getting the right days and the right weather, and then you just keep sitting there over and over. I think that it's the time that somebody's going to kill him is still probably going to be a month out or so, though, with that deer specifically. And then there's another deer that is hitting it that's we would consider him a shooter. But this is where you need to be making sure that you are looking at your intel from years past. This deer, you got 10 days at tops with this deer, and he's going to be gone.
Gypsy?
Gypsy.
And he hit that tree?
This morning.
Oh, really?
He will happily destroy your tree, too, if you don't shoot him quick enough.
Yep.
He has been the one freaking deer that has snapped a tree off 2 years in a row.
I think the trees we put in were pretty solid.
I don't think he's going to snap this one.
No,
we don't all use cat toys.
Last year, you had the thing of using a bigger one, too. You were like, you just use a bigger, and I did. He was the one, he freaking sits there and puts his forehead on it, won't even move his head. We'll just lean on it for like 10 or 15 seconds. Yeah, he snaps so all weird. Of mine every time.
Well, I think the ones that we put in.
That was this morning.
Oh, heck yeah.
He's a little turd is what he is. Can't stand him. I need to get an arrow in him.
Oh, he's got a gut on him.
3 a.m. Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
Well, I'll be honest with you.
Well, I mean, I think we go back to talking about the deer that you're going to try to kill. Yeah. Because
I can name him, right?
Well, real quick, though, on that deer on Gypsy, yeah. If you have a deer like that leaves or he disappears on you after a certain date in October, the only reason that we're so confident on this one that you only have 10 days is, and if you took out this one piece of information, last year we would have been convinced he's around somewhere because we know this deer and we know him well, and he'll be on farm 1 till October 10th to the 13th. Then he moves 4.5 miles.
Yep.
4.5 miles away.
And we know that because we happen to be hunting. Easton was hunting another farm where he showed up.
Right.
I mean, and so we identified that 2 or 3 years earlier.
Said, I know that deer, but no way. And we went and dug, and holy crap.
You didn't believe me.
Well,
that's a stretch.
That's a long ways to go.
I knew.
And then last year, was it last year that he made the trip back?
That's what I'm saying would be confusing.
No.
Is like October.
2 years ago.
No, last year he did it 2 or 3 times.
Really?
I think only twice. Yeah. But it was like the 17th or something, and then like the 28th or something around there, which is where it would have really confused you. Yes.
Okay.
At least it would have confused me. I'd have been if I didn't know his information, because we looked and it was within a day or two of each other that sucker was 4.5 miles away, in October, like when they're not in the lull, where they're not doing anything, goes 4 miles to farm 1, hangs out there for I don't know how long, goes back.
It was only 3 or 4 days.
That's what I'm saying. Then goes back and then does it again in a few days.
Yeah.
And then he was gone
he stayed there for a bit though, then he went back again.
Right. So my point would
Shed's
be
original number 1 farm.
yeah, so the point of that is that deer would confuse if you didn't know he was going for me personally, I'd be like, I'm just missing him.
Right.
Like I'm just off of his zone somewhere. I would not be thinking he's 4 miles away. But he is. And so my point with that deer is that if you were going to try to kill that deer, in my opinion, if I was going to go and try and kill that deer, I'd be going ham on him right now. I'd be putting cameras everywhere. I'd be trying to taking all the information I have from prior years, and I would be hunting him every day. I'd be finding a wind that I could hunt him, and I'd be hunting him every day because I know I only have 10 days to try to kill him before it's a total. He's completely whack.
Haywire, yeah.
Fortunately, he's not humongous, and so it doesn't stress us out that much. But if he was a giant deer, he would be really causing us a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
So that's just something to keep in mind if you got a deer that does that to you. All right, let's go to the Gumper.
Old Gump. Well, we named this one. I named him Gump, but everybody agreed, so that's a first. His name is Gump because his tines just keep going and going, kind of like Forrest Gump just keeps running and running. You know.
It's a stupid name.
Well, it's better than anything
memorable.
else. Yeah, you're not going to forget it. Anyways, I'll be honest. I'm very excited to hunt Gump. I'm also not super confident in killing him early. I know Warren's very in on killing him early, but the only thing, and I'm just gonna, the one thing that you were saying about your other place with your Spartan Hill, you have really good access to it to like be able to consistently hunt the one spot. This one is like this farm is hard to access properly. Granted, I've gone extensive and cut some trails and things like using a tractor to go through the trees and cut a trail on the back end so that we could walk through crap to try to access where we could consistently hunt something without bothering certain stuff. So that part kind of drives me a little bit nuts because unless you have the right winds for it and everything, you're going to be kind of, if you can get in, you can get in. If not, you can't. But
I think you're
also
going to be
don't
fine.
think I don't really even want to look at my cameras because I know that cameras will just make you overthink. I just have no idea. The little turd, I know he's in an area, but he's just, it's hard for it. I have not gained any new, I've seen him, got pictures of him, but not gained any bit of information where I'm like, okay, that helps me determine that he doesn't like this or doesn't like that. Besides where I got one of the last pictures of him, and I'm like, okay, well, at least I know he's there. And he's all in, and right now it's middle of the night. Granted, he was daylight early September, which doesn't help a whole heck of a lot, but he's there. So in my opinion, I think it's just going to be a matter of I'd like to go set some more stands in there, but I also don't want to. I wanted to kind of leave it be and use the stands that I have there already and deploy the old mobile hunting if I want to try to hop up in a couple different spots to try to find where he's at in daytime.
I'm going to go on record and tell him what tree. I've already told him.
I like that, but I don't want to. I'm trying to kind of stay out of it as opposed to just going in there every other day, checking a camera or putting a rub tree in. Or
he knows me by first name, and
he
knows
does.
Dan. He knows what Dan, he knows how Dan walks and pees, and that deer has seen me for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but
because I want to put one in that stand where you're talking.
You hunted that tree where I used to have, where the grizzly blind was when I had it over on the farther west.
Yeah.
Okay, and then remember I had a tree stand right there would be on the south side of the food plot.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you shot a doe or two out of there. Yeah. I'm telling you, that's because if you watch these deer, now that there's corn in there, they're using that as like a highway just to go back and forth through there. And you have a west wind or a northwest wind, I wouldn't hunt it in the morning because I think he could be coming from across the road and come back that way. But but I believe in the afternoon because he 100% comfortable walking that edge because he's not exposed at all.
Did you go back and look at pictures of previous years?
I've looked at some, but yesterday when I was trying to write stuff, I kept getting pulled away.
Was he there quite a bit early last year?
I have to look at dates again. I was mainly looking to see if I could find daylight stuff.
So I think we need to provide context for people on this situation.
Yeah. Think we need to what?
We need to provide context on, because right now too we're saying we're never really that big on trying to kill a buck early, and now we're saying that this one would be worth hunting early.
Well,
it's not necessarily the size. It's the fact that there's a deer doing it.
We have an opportunity at one.
Right.
Yeah.
So the context would be very important for people to understand why we think this one is different.
Yeah.
And so is what I would say. The first thing is that last year I don't recall. He was a good deer. He wasn't as memorable, but I don't recall being a lot of photos of him there until later when you started getting him on one of those scrapes. So where this year he seems to.
Oh yeah.
All the time.
Because this is, I don't want to cut you off, but we need to clarify, this is the deer I was referring to the other day when we did the live. That deer walked by my rub tree every time. Every time that I saw him, he would just walk by it. He never touched it.
Okay. So anyways, this deer was not there necessarily there a ton last year. And then this year, though, it's evident that he's living in this area, and that is his zone or his core area right now for sure. And I don't believe, and then we had pictures of him there last year and in that area for most of the season. So we're quite confident that he's not going to go anywhere. If I was in your position, I would be hunting this deer very delicate. The times that I could hunt him, that I felt as though I could get into somewhere where I'm not going to bust him, then I would be doing that. But I wouldn't be rushing it either, because I don't think he's going to go anywhere. But at the same time, you're close enough that you have the opportunity on the right days that he might come strolling by, even if it's an 80-degree day.
Yep.
And so the point here is that we have a very good idea of where this deer is during the daylight, or at least close to in the vicinity. So if the opportunity arises and it's the right conditions, you might as well be hunting him. At least that's how I think about it.
Well, and it's not, he hasn't, he's shown himself daylight in hot days anyways already. He hasn't shown any consistencies weather-wise that I can put my finger on.
Yeah.
I've got like 3 places marked that I don't think he beds in the same place every day.
I don't think so either.
I think he beds in the same area, as far as the same farm. I know he's not going to the same places every day. I will say, though, that I have found some edges, it seems like, as far as Warren always talks about a lot of times, with some of his other big deer. So for anybody that's listening to some of those, is your zones, and finding, if you can find a deer's zone, or you can find the edge of his zone, you have unlocked a pretty large key to the puzzle, because you can now start narrowing down where he is most of the time. I feel as though I have somewhat gotten that zone, because I've intentionally moved some of my cell cameras around that right there. I only have one, so, but I kind of have purposely put it in spots, even if I didn't think that he was going to be there or not, to try and figure out, yeah, we have our other regular cameras that are out, but see if I can identify where he is or is not. And I feel like one of the places I just had it, that I cut that trail down to, I am like pretty freaking confident that the deer won't go right there, at least just currently, because I gave him, and yes, it's going to sound short periods of time, but I'm just trying to get general information to not take too seriously. But I got just about every freaking deer I have on every other camera on that trail and that scrape. He never showed up. I moved it 100, 150 yards, and he shows up the next morning. So that tells me, and that's the exact same thing that happened one time before I had moved the camera. So it's telling me that, yeah, he may go over here at some point or another, but that's not his thing. Like, and the other weird thing is, holy cow, maybe I just came up with an idea. Every time I've put a new scrape in, I've only done it twice.
He hits it.
Within like a very short period of time, which now is telling me the sucker is there, in there, close by.
You just gathered that?
No. I'm an idiot. I was sitting here. No, I mean, I knew he was there.
No wonder he hasn't killed a big deer yet.
No, think about it. You idiots. Think about it. I've had the scrapes in there and stuff, and throughout the summer and everything, we've had pictures of him. Not once did he ever come over and check it out like immediate. He came over. He would come in like a day or 2, 3, 4 days after I'd put a scrape in there. And then recently, I have put 2 separate scrapes in on 2 separate occasions where he showed up within like a few hours of when I put that scrape in. The reason I'm saying I just connected dots is because he wasn't doing that beforehand. And at first I was like, oh, hey, that's cool. The one big deer is the first one to hit it right away. I'm not so sure he isn't just bedding right there in the freaking center of it. And now he's there, as in he's not moving as much or not further away, and smells that sucker and is coming to check it out every time when I'm throwing out a crap load of new scent. I wonder if that could be
I think your ditch crossing is the other place you have a really good chance of killing him, because there's not many places he can cross.
And I keep where that.
The only thing though that because I swear these big deer, not antler wise, these older deer, if you're hunting an older deer, they just don't seem to do what everyone else does. If you're getting a whole bunch of deer walk down an edge like I'm talking about next to this corn, and we are, he probably won't. And I'm not saying he won't walk down the edge, but if they're all walking down the edge 3 yards off of the corn and comes down there, he'll be 10 yards off. They just seem to do something slightly different than everyone else. And he seems to be more that case than any other deer I've ever seen over there.
He's the only one that I've gotten out of. I try to pay attention to other deer on the cameras, and everything we have is videos. And that's not just for the sake of us seeing cool videos. That, in my opinion, that's also so we can get a better idea of, okay, they came from this way or they were coming from this way. You just get more information with a video. Right. And where the water trough is, I have yet to see any other deer going the direction he was on where to cross that ditch. Mm-hmm. They all go around it. And he was the only one I've seen go thunk, cut right across it right next to where I'd put that stand. Which would tell me that, and then I went on the flip side of that. I went across the creek because I wanted to see what kind of sign is over there and everything. This is kind of cool for everybody listening probably, because you're kind of hearing how I've gone through everything you guys are asking us to try to figure these deer out. But I went across the creek to see, and this is a super steep, crappy creek. Like there's only a couple places you could cross or the deer will cross. And on the other side, there's one trail that I know does and stuff are on that is on the far side away, but that one spot that I'd seen him go down and he could cross the creek, there's no trail coming up that, nothing, but I know he came up that other end, and there's not a single bit of sign over there besides there was a deer here at some point, because there's a track here and there.
Which I wouldn't put too much emphasis into exactly what they're doing right now, just because they aren't doing much at all. They're not going very far, but the thing I think that you have that's a tremendous opportunity is you don't need to hunt him that aggressive. You hunt him when you can and be safe with it, in my opinion, because as long as you don't screw him up, he's there.
Well, yeah, he stays
like you got a deer
the
that's there, and so just keep hunting the right opportunities and being. I'd be being slightly reserved till you start getting closer to the end of October, and then I think he'll probably make a mistake, and you'll either kill him before them, or he's going to hit some scrapes or do something somewhere where you're gonna have a little bit better idea, and you can move in on him.
I think we may have a pretty good opportunity as far as narrowing him down some this year too, because I bet this is one of the farms we've told you guys about that we added a lot of food to. He's got a crap pile of food this year right there, and maybe that gives him something else to hang tight for.
Well, I think he's the reason Dad gets all nervous about deer.
He is?
What he's doing.
What do you mean?
Meaning that deer right now, if you are half a mile away, or you're 600 yards off of where he's at,
you're not seeing him.
You're not seeing him. And so that's when you get into a David mode of, they're all dead. And in reality, you're 600 yards off, and you don't have enough cameras to frickin' find all of them.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Oh, you even know it's true.
I don't care.
Take another ice bath, and there'll be giants everywhere.
For those of you that don't know about cold plunging, you should be doing it. It's freaking top notch. That and hydrogen water. But I can help you because I need to kill some does. I can go over there and sit in one of those stands and shoot some does and let you know if I see them.
There's one place I've been trying not to go shoot does right now.
I understand. I'm kidding.
My goal this year is I'm going to shoot 5 in one sit.
I don't carry that. That can never happen for me because I don't carry that many arrows.
I have to figure out how to carry that many too, because if I shoot 5, that's all my quiver will take. And then I'm sure I'll have a giant buck come by at that point, and I won't have an arrow. So I'm gonna put 5 in my quiver and then walk in with 1 extra and just carry that one.
You're an idiot.
So that I can try and shoot 5. I got 4 last year, and I could have killed that other one too. So the goal this year is 5. And then I'm going to tell Eli or Nick, bring a knife, because I got tired of gutting them after going down the line for 15 minutes gutting freaking deer.
They're both going to be like, Easton, you still need a camera guy. You still need a camera guy.
Well, that one day, you shot 4 and I shot 3.
Uh-huh. And he shot 2.
I shot 2 that day too, I think.
Yeah, and I've shot 3 several times, but I have not shot. But I couldn't. Last year I was out of arrows. I couldn't have killed 4 if I wanted to.
I was on my last arrow, and then I was like, do I shoot this other one or do I keep it just in case? Actually, no, that's why I didn't shoot it. I didn't have any other tags.
Yeah,
you ran out of tags.
Yeah, because otherwise I probably would have shot that one too. No. And just been empty arrows.
I mean, the thing that I am looking forward to is we have some really cool spots. I'll always look forward to fall. Sitting in a tree stand when the leaves are changing, when the air is cooler, when the deer have changed colors back to their fall hides and stuff, and hard-horned in there. It's freaking fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so much fun.
So what is your plan going into this year then?
This is kind of
killing a
odd
buck?
for me because, like, I'm still like I don't have a deer that's gone year after year that I've known like a straight up. I knew him. I have a deer called Quad and he typically doesn't show up, and I've passed him 2 years in a row now. But he typically does not show up. I won't know he's around until hunting season. He doesn't ever. Matter of fact, I think first time I've seen him, we're actually in a tree. I don't think I had a trail camera photo of him before that. So if he does what he normally does, he should show up. And I've employed a rub tree in that location to try to pinpoint where I want him to be, which last year he was 6 yards away. I mean, if I wanted to kill him, I could have shot him. So
you're kind of hurry up and wait.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a hurry up this year. I really don't. I mean, I'm trying to enjoy it a little more than past years just because
Good for you.
it's fun, and so I have a whole pile of doe tags, and the blind I put in yesterday is just badass. Sometimes there's a place where I'll set something. When Nick and I killed Brahma, when I walked away that day, I was so freaking excited. I'm like, this is right. I had a rub tree where I wanted. I had a tree stand, had a ground blind. I had everything right. However, I was doing that on like October 25th. And I'm like, this could be like you just might have shot yourself in the foot, but it just freaking felt awesome. Felt really good. Yesterday when I put that ground blind in and dropped that tree in there, and I'm right in between 2 cornfields. And it's for people that have seen it, it's right where Easton shot a buck 2 years ago on not the last day of the season, but like the last 4 or 5 days, wasn't it?
November 26th or 7th. So, yeah.
Yeah, so
Last week.
And we had seen a bigger buck than the one you shot go across right there.
Yeah.
And I feel like those deer cut through there a lot. I don't hunt that farm that much, but it's just you can't see anything. The corn makes it where you're like in this little playground in the middle. And I can just see big bucks walking through there because they feel so comfortable. There's no way anyone can see them from a road. There's no dogs, nothing. And they could walk out in and out of that cornfield and cut across right there. And now there's a tree for them to rub on, which puts them where I need to. I think I put it at 16 or 17 yards.
Oh, so you put another one in?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I thought you only had the regular original.
No, this is
gonna be legit.
This one's
But it's only gonna be
massive, too.
legit for a freaking.
And that's all standing corn right now?
It's all standing corn.
Yeah, see, good chance we're going to find a new deer right there.
Yeah. And the other thing that, I'm not against doing it. If we have the opportunity, we could buy back an acre or 2 of corn from the farmer and leave food for a late season type deal there.
Yeah.
And then and it's all legal in Iowa. You could just go in and knock it over. If he would do it, I don't know if he'd do it right there because it's kind of in the middle of his field. But anyhow, so I mean, that's one spot that I'm really excited about. This deer that you're chasing is one of the biggest deer we've had on that farm in a long time.
It'll
so
blow any of my deer out of the water.
But there's still
your boy might have a chance at his 70 mark.
Well, there's still several deer that just haven't showed up. and I don't know where they are or whatever. And some of them, I have some intel from last year, have a trail camera photo of them, or we pick up a shed or something. We know the deer's alive or feel like he's alive unless he died from. But like Mr. Liss, you guys have heard us talk about Mr. Liss. Not the biggest deer by any means rack-wise. But if this family could kill that deer, it would be so cool. I mean, if Alyssa could kill him, it would be one thing. But I hunted him hard last year, and I was on him 3 or 4 or 5 times. I mean, he got away from us the one time over at south end of, what are we calling that, the number 3 farm?
4.
No, 3.
3.
And that was just dumb luck. He just got lucky.
I was watching that clip the other day. How you couldn't shoot him when he turned?
He's behind the tree.
Okay, because he was only, what, 30 or something like that?
Like 33 or 34. From his stand, you could have killed him.
Wide open.
Yeah, but I couldn't. I'm just standing there looking at him.
He's one of those deer that, like, you kill him and rack-wise still, too, you just look at that deer and like, that thing's a brute. Because he's not going to score huge, but he's heavy, and he's 20 inches wide, and his G2s are real tall, and then his head is just this giant block head.
He's the deer, if you guys have followed our social media, that he's got one eye because he lost the other one years ago. And he's just a beast. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Brahma, and I love that. I love that freaking.
He's a tank.
He's way meaner than Brahma.
Yeah, he is. He's a mean deer.
He's bigger than Brahma.
Yeah, I think body wise,
he's way more built. I mean, like he's pretty freaking yoked, especially for an old man.
But he's pissed at the world. He just when he finds the rub tree, he owns it. He takes over and he's there he comes all the time and he walks all the other deer off.
He's the one that had the possessed grunt that we did the video of too last year, wasn't it?
Snortweeze.
Oh, that was his Snortweeze, yeah. Ugh, that was freaking weird.
I think I know how to kill that deer. I've had to listen about killing him twice.
Yeah.
And you jump around on him too much. You gotta pick one and just sit that same one over and over and over.
You play tag with him.
Yes, because that's what you do is you go to where he was yesterday, and then he goes to the other place.
The biggest problem is that I can't hunt where I want. I don't own the property where he lives. I'm hunting the fringe of it.
Yeah, well, we flung arrows at him twice now.
Yeah, I know.
And I did the same thing on both those times where it was just, we're just going to sit here until he does it. Yep.
I'd be curious. Oh, go ahead.
Well, that was really all I had on that. I just think, so should people panic yet if they don't have a big deer or the big deer they're hunting or they knew from last year hasn't shown up? Because I've already seen quite a few posts and stuff and, I don't have any deer yet or this or that. And I'm like, it's all good. You're okay.
Panic?
Absolutely not. Do not panic.
Yeah, I don't know what there is to panic about.
Well, because some people just don't understand like that. It's not. You're not going to get near as many pictures of deer right now. Even with our sets, you're going to get deer hitting it, but you're probably going to get pretty much the same couple bucks right now for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or unless you get some really nice cooler weather, then it seems like I always kind of get deer up, moving around a little bit more. Other than that, right now it's going to be slow. It's going to be real slow until there's some good weather, and unless you're on a buck like you've got where he's there, that's why those types of deer, you're not going to see them on your cameras because they have this little tiny area right now, and they're doing not necessarily the exact same thing every night, but they're pretty similar. They're probably going out here to feed, and they're going back to this area to bed, and unless your cameras or you are sitting somewhere where you can see that exact area, you're not going to see them. So just relax, and especially if you're in the Midwest or the East, like corn, when that corn comes out, you're going to get a whole bunch more deer as well.
Yeah, we do. It definitely,
every year.
It does it every year for us.
Yeah, East and I saw that when we first moved here, that second year or so, whatever, then that's when I really understood how much they will just stay 100% in that corn.
So annoying. Joey already has, last year where I was hunting, it's a pain in the butt when there's corn there. And this year, if you compared our trail camera pictures from last year to this year in the same exact times, it's like 10 times the amount of deer that are there.
Yeah.
And last year?
Yeah, no, this year.
This year because it's beans this year, right?
And that's how it was 2 years ago. And we're like, where did all our deer go? But the issue is it never got harvested, so they never came back. Right. But this year, You can already see the difference in the crop rotation is helping.
But for those that are listening that are hunting the Midwest, I can't speak for everywhere. I can speak for like 100-mile radius in Iowa. Seems like a good growth year. Seems like the deer got a lot of rain or whatever caused that we got moisture or not moisture when it was time. And over the course of the summer, just driving around, and I've been driving a truck and going other places and stuff, and I've seen some good deer this year. Really good deer. Like I said, I'm not talking about necessarily deer we can hunt, but it just seems like overall, seems like it's going to be a good rack year. Seems like the deer grew well. They seem to be pretty healthy.
I agree.
We're still facing the same problem right by my house is I got too many deer. We definitely have an issue with numbers of deer. And I don't know how we're ever...
Pile of doe tags.
Yeah, I know, but we just can't get ahead of them. I mean, when you have a neighbor, between you and a neighbor killing almost 100, and it's not even putting a dent in them.
That's a lot.
So, no, 100 does. That's what I'm talking about. But we'll keep trying, keep giving her. I mean, that you can't. And have you guys heard of? And I don't want to jinx any of us, but at this time last year, there was EHD stuff being posted, and even all the way into October. I haven't heard of anything hardly at all, if anything, of EHD this year.
I haven't in Iowa.
I don't feel like it should really be a thing this year.
I feel like we've had enough moisture.
Yeah.
We kind of gauge everything. Right by my house, there's a water crossing, and it's had water all summer, which has not been the case for 3 years.
We've had even other creeks that are running that I've never seen running.
Right. So we got more moisture. That could be a big deterrent. That's good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? What is your plan?
You already kind of did his.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to be able to take these does so that I don't have to drive all the way to the one meat locker. Because if I can figure that part out, or actually I can just send my wife, I guess. So that's probably what my goal is. I'm probably going to shoot 15 off farm one.
We need to
and that's my number one goal is that I'm going to wax 15 does off that place.
We need to get a walk-in freezer at the office because then we could stack them in there. And also tell guys, like in the area, we bring in blank, we can handle this many or whatever, and we'll send somebody to go.
It would fill up so fast you wouldn't be able to do. I mean,
we'd probably fill it up on our own either.
You go over to that meat locker and see all the deer they have laying there. It's like crazy the number quickly, like early in October.
Well, we could just do it for ourselves then we could take 10 at once versus 2 or 3 trips.
One and running over every day.
But that's my number one goal is I'm gonna 15 minimum, maybe 20. What's the most you've ever killed in a year?
Does?
Yeah.
I think one year I shot 11.
11?
I don't think I've ever
So
bought
22
more tags.
is my goal then.
Last year I ate 2 tags.
I'm going to shoot 22 does with my bow. And just...
This year?
Yep.
How many did you kill last year? 11?
Off of number one. I think 8.
So where'd you come up with 22?
Because Dad's killed 11.
Oh, so you want to double him?
Which, honestly, and that's really not. It's just kind of a fun number because I think on
I don't care to spend that much money on broadheads.
farm one, I think we need to shoot 20 off of there alone. So just try and
shoot 20 off of 3, 4, or 3, 5. Nope. 2 and 3.
So really,
as well, all of them. Just shoot them all.
Well,
check the doe numbers.
We got to talk about the 5 point.
I like the 5 point.
Yeah, I do too.
Well,
so we might be fighting over that, So
my next thing is I think usually I'm pretty dedicated on like I got a buck I'm trying to kill or certain big one. I have a lot going on business wise this year, so I'm sacrificing some time to hopefully be in a position where I don't ever have to do that again. And then on the other part of that is I've been really fortunate where I'm not that stressed thanks to BG that I'm kind of good with any mature deer. There's one I like the on farm 6. I like that 5, and I like that heavy deer. There's a deer there that's he's probably 140.
Yeah,
but he's freaking massy, and he'd make a sweet euro, and I probably would be pretty stoked to shoot that. I'd rather shoot that 5 point thing though.
One of the coolest sheds I ever picked up was in Canada. and Kurt Clark and I were hunting there. We're driving on a UTV, and we almost ran it over. We got off, picked it up, and scored it. And it scored like 57, if I remember right.
A 3-point?
A 3-point. And I was like, that means that if this deer has a 10-inch spread, he's Pope and Young as a 6. I'm like, and then I freaking saw him and filmed him. And I had already killed my deer. Kurt's the hunter. And I'm like, dude, you need to, that's the 6. And he's like, I don't kill that deer. It's not very big. And I'm like, it's so cool. And he did not come in where he could get a shot. That deer, this 5 reminds me of that. He just doesn't have a brow tine. However, I don't think this one's going to make Pope and Young. I don't think his G2 is long enough.
Well, now that my dream deer, that shed that guy has at the Deer Classic is
it's
unbelievable. Of every antler I've ever seen in my entire life, that is the most impressive antler on all of them. It is if you guys haven't seen this thing, it is a 3-point antler, and we have Dad a picture of him holding it, and I kid you not, like the bases are like 8 or 9. I mean, it's just it's literally like a baseball bat. It's probably, I don't remember. Did he tell us what the score was?
Yeah, but I can't remember. I wonder if I had it on my.
It's got to be pushing 80 as a freaking 3-point.
Yeah, it's big.
It's huge. I have 2 dream deer left. One would be a 6-point like that, like just a giant 6. The other would be a huge typical, like basically Ralph, but with double drops.
Yeah, that's
not asking too much, you know.
Everyone wants to kill a double drop.
But they got to be like 10-inch drops, and they got to be off the beams, and they got to be about in the center.
I talked to one of our
like Jim Brennan's.
Yeah,
those are freaking legit.
I talked to one of our listeners today on the telephone, and because we were talking about some product stuff, and then he had said, "I love the podcast and everything." I was like, "Oh, nice! Didn't know you listened to the podcast or whatever," but I just wanted to tell you the story because it would really piss you off, and he thought it would too. That he found a freaking 80-inch shed this year, 84-inch shed actually to be exact. You want to know how he found it?
Walking his dog,
driving down the road in a ditch.
Just saw it laying there.
Saw it laying there. He said, "I thought it was a match set or something laying on top of each other," and I got out and I went and looked and. Sure enough, it was just one antler. I was like, oh, Warren's going to be livid.
I'm so glad I put hundreds of miles on my boots every year.
Then just drive down the road.
Yeah.
The other one that was interesting is this is one that we've dealt with, but not in this experience. Did Aaron send you guys a picture today? He found 2 dead deer locked up already.
Oh, really?
Granted, they were locked up with a fence in between them. One was on one side of the barbed wire fence and one was on the other side, and they were definitely fighting, but then there's also a fence in between. So I don't know if they freaking...
Like a barbed wire fence or electric fence?
Barbed wire fence. But they're both dead.
Big deer or
They
like
look like
shooter
pretty
kind
good
of deer?
antlers. I don't know. I think he's getting
That
the tag and
sucks.
stuff for it, but yeah, I don't... That's early. That's
I got two bucks fighting at...
Well, I've seen the bucks fighting right now, but I just... To the magnitude of freaking getting locked up right now...
No, these 2 weren't going.
That's impressive.
So, but
all right.
But so here's a question for you guys. I think I might know everyone's answer here. If there's one trait in a deer, what is it that you look for? Like, is it width? Is it tine length? Is it mass? Is it non-typical? Is it typical? What is that one thing that you got to have it in a deer that you're like, man, this is what I'm after. Mine 100% is mass.
Oh, yeah, mine too.
Tine length.
You like tine.
If I didn't get a pick typical, it's tine length.
Those are some of the ugliest deer, though. Deer that are super tall with no mass.
Yeah. But then you also have the same deer like Hershey where they have a lot of mass and they have short tines and they're uglier and can be.
No way.
Yes. It's disgusting. You need to have long tines and then grow your mass, young Padawan.
Whatever. Hey, the next time we talk to these guys,
it'll be deer season.
It'll be hunting season. And I would think the next time that we talk to you, the Bucks will not have lost because I think they canceled their game.
Wait, did they actually have to cancel it?
There's a hurricane. I don't know. There's a hurricane coming, and I know that they closed the airports and everything down there today or tonight. And so I don't think they're going to get to play the Eagles. So
I can't. I'm just looking forward to 2028, man.
2028 when they play again.
Yeah.
You paying for us to go the next time?
I'll pay.
Okay.
As long as I'm worth a little bit more money.
Okay. How much you worth?
Nothing right now.
They, what would they if they cancel it? What do they do?
That's what I asked.
Make
just
it up.
go and
Well, they usually make it up, but there was a year I feel like wasn't
the
there
Bills
Nick,
and the Bengals
where they did not replay the
game
game.
never got replayed.
Right.
They tried and then it just couldn't.
And then they finally, because now they have the
But that was
17
not
game
weather.
season, they can do that. They can afford one. I can't remember how they decide on like how if
that
it,
one
gonna
was because
release
of
that?
DeMar Hamlin.
right.
Yeah.
Do what?
They probably
I
already
wonder when
have.
they release that info because I need that information to know if I need to play Godwin or not.
You should.
I would have a hard time believing they're going to cancel the whole freaking game unless that hurricane
if it-
hits.
You saw that stadium if you hit with a hurricane in that thing.
Oh, it'll be fine.
Not for the
And
fans.
yeah, everybody can just pile onto the pirate ship.
Oh, imagine that, so much water that thing floats away.
That'd be so cool.
Fire the cannons.
Yeah. I want to be on that.
Okay. All right, I got one.
You got wacky fact?
I do.
Okay.
So apparently, Easton is related to a snail. Snails
Oh.
can sleep for 3 years.
Oh lordy.
Wait, at once?
It says a snail can sleep for 3 years.
I don't sleep like that.
And you sleep pretty long.
Oh, your button is out.
Joey, count that.
Little button man doesn't have a button.
No.
Let's hope the red one's dead. You sure you have it on?
Yeah.
Here's it. There we go.
Just Oop.
Oh, yeah. Count all those. Kangaroos keep growing until they die.
That's why they look like the jack deer all the time.
The other thing,
I thought for sure that they would be like any other mammal,
What's
where
that
they had a
mean?
certain
Like-
size and they are age and they quit growing.
they just probably aren't growing very much. Just a little bit at a time.
We don't have enough context on this
I don't
information.
know.
Do you know what else is that about a kangaroo?
What?
They can't back up.
Oh, on.
They can't back
They
up
cannot back up.
because their tail?
They can't back up.
Really?
No, they can just stand on their tail and bounce up and down on their tail and box you with their tail and
Well,
freaking
they
do everything
do
else
a
with
lot of
their
other
tail.
things, but they can't back up.
That's interesting.
I know.
I felt like a kangaroo at the Broncos
that
game.
isn't even my wacky fact for
I had a
today.
pouch
This
on
is-
my overalls.
I disagree with this wacky fact. It says using a hands-free device to talk on the phone while driving is shown to be equally or more dangerous than driving drunk. I don't see how that
Hands
could.
free,
Yeah.
as in you're not doing anything with your hands at the phone.
Well, that's what hands-free means.
That is the dumbest freaking comment I've ever heard.
I'm wondering if they're talking about the fact that it's hands free, but yet people put it on there and then they're reaching up to touch buttons on it.
No,
That
it would be like
defeats the
your
purpose
truck
of
where
hands-free.
you answer it on the truck. And,
right.
you're
If you
just
do everything
talking.
voice command wise, you would
Then
think,
they should only say it's holding free. You still have to finger it.
now why you got to go there? We made it the whole way, and then you got to do some kind of.
In all reality, I wasn't going sexually with that.
You were too.
No, I was not. I was talking about you got to freaking sit there and poke it.
We better hope everybody has an ear reaction.
Okay, I got one for today.
Okay.
19th century England, people that were poor sold their urine as it was used for a tanning process. The term piss poor came from them doing that.
Ew. So, but they were all doing it, or only the poor people
Just
were
to
doing
put the
that?
poor people, that's what they would qualify you as, is you're piss poor because you're selling your urine to be used for a tanning. That's the only way they could make money.
Okay, but they weren't the ones buying it. The
No, they
ones
were-
that were real suckers were the ones that were buying that as tanning oil.
Well, they needed it. Apparently it does work.
That's disgusting.
Well,
Next time you lay down in a beach chair, just let her rip.
bottle it, sell it. Or actually, just save yourself on some taxidermy bill. Ask them if you could supply your own tanning stuff, and you just bottle all your stuff and send it with your deer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure that would work out.
You could.
All right.
All right, y'all.
All right. Well, as much as we'd love to hang out and talk deer hunting with you guys for the rest of the day, those of you that are mowing right now and doing things like you guys are always telling us, we sure appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, go to the Raised Hunting website, find the scents, find the knocks, find the dog chews.
Leave those reviews. We appreciate it. You got
send
to way
in,
up there in Apple.
Yeah, send in your photos though. Just like Jeff, who did that today. We're going to start adding to the board. Appreciate you guys. We're looking forward to, if nothing else, just stay in contact with us. Let us know how hunting season's going, and we'll do the same. From Raised Hunting, I'm David Holder.
See ya.
We out.